Welcome to Time Travel Reads. Unfortunately, I read two books this month that I will have to review negatively. This is one of those books. Champlain's Dream by David Hackett Fischer is a biography of Samuel Champlain, an explorer of 6 Canadian provinces and 5 U.S. states, written by an emeritus professor of history at Brandeis University. It was published in 2008 by an older professor and uses the older style of describing history as the deeds of great people. Newer histories tend to approach history as the combination of the deeds of regular people as well as famous people. It is a glowing account of a man who is described in nearly saintly terms. Champlain is set up by the book to be French Canada's indispensable man, the only one who is willing to integrate the lessons of previous failures, treat Indigenous nations fairly, and put in the work to make a colony last. A reader will get the sense that Fischer really wants the reader to like Champlain. I went into the book knowing very little about Champlain and hoping it would be a nice break from reading about the Puritans. I wanted to like Champlain. Unfortunately, I don't feel that the author put Champlain in enough context to convince me that he was as great as claimed. Fischer's treatment of Champlain's love life is concerning. Champlain supposedly didn't take lovers, or if he didn't take very many. When Indigenous women offered themselves to him, he refused them. That made him sort of like a holy man in the eyes of Indigenous men, according to Fischer. One gets the sense that Fischer also wants the reader to be impressed. Instead, Champlain and a girl's father forced a 14-year-old child to marry him when he was a grown man without any concern for her feelings. Fischer acknowledges that he had no concern for his wife's feelings, but also says something about never finding a way into a woman's heart. Apparently, the reader is supposed to feel sorry for Champlain instead of for the girl. Champlain did not believe in quote, what we understand as liberty or equality. He believed in order and subordination, unquote. What that meant in intellectual and practical terms is glossed over. It would have been nice to get an explanation of the class and social beliefs of that period and how Champlain's beliefs differed from the norm, if at all. Supposedly his beliefs only applied to white settlers and not to Indigenous people, but information on how he treated those white subordinates would help inform us of his character. Relations with Indigenous nations and individuals was central to Champlain's work. The book focused entirely on the French perspective on Indigenous people. Indigenous scholars' expertise on their nations at that time and on Champlain are not part of the main narrative. Perhaps they're in the endnotes, but I didn't have access to those because my library had the audiobook. It would have been valuable to hear about Indigenous French relations from both sides to get a more balanced understanding of their interactions. Indigenous nations and their cultures and leaders remain secondary in importance to the white leaders in the story, even when they want Champlain's assistance in an international war. This is despite their importance to Champlain's life and to French Canada, reminding one of similar works about U.S. founders, where Indigenous people and Black people are treated similarly despite their importance to history. That was disappointing. Fischer is emphatic that Champlain was a good Christian man and was not racist in any way and was always good to Indigenous people. In case you're wondering, this is Fischer's argument, not something I invented. That may have been true to some extent. Champlain seems to have had a policy that his men could not kidnap, steal from, or lie to Indigenous people. That was better than the policies employed by some traders, and certainly better than English colonies who cheated Indians out of their land. Even when the king had a policy that the French should rule over the Indians, Fischer insists that Champlain preferred to live with them. At the same time, we are supposed to believe that Champlain wanted to convert Indigenous people to Catholicism because he believed they were lost souls without his religion. How the author wishes to square that hole is left as an exercise to the reader. Again, this is Fischer's argument, not mine. Overall, It was the only book I had access to about Champlain, and it was better than having no book at all. The further I got into the biography, though, the more annoyed I became with the lack of context that newer books written by younger professors probably would have given if they had written it. If you read it, go in knowing that it is a popular history that needs some updating. Thanks for watching.